Did you know you can make a fountain that flows and flows and flows out of just a few recycled bottles and some straws? Check it out. Woohoo! There are no water pumps, electricity or anything like that running this fountain. And all you need is a few simple ingredients weaved together in a scientific way. What you'll need is 3 plastic bottles with caps, straws, scissors, hot glue sticks, and a drill. And you will need adults' help when using a power tool. So how's it work? We've got a basin on top, a water supply chamber in the middle, and an air supply chamber down the bottom. When the water falls from the basin to the air supply chamber, it uses the air pressure to force air out of the chamber and into the water supply chamber. Then the air pressure continues to push water out of the water supply chamber and back into the basin where it starts all over again. Hang on, let's take another look at that. When the water falls from the basin to the air supply chamber, it uses the air pressure to force air out of the chamber and into the water supply chamber. Then the air pressure continues to push water out of the water supply chamber and back into the basin where it starts all over again. Now let's make it ourselves. Grab the hot glue and then stick 2 bottle caps together. And squeeze them together. And then set that aside to dry. Just be really careful when using hot glue. And now with the 3rd lid, we want to stick it to the base of one of the bottles. Stick that on and then put that aside to dry. With an adult supervision, drill 2 holes into our double-decker lids. And same again on the other side. The drill bit should be the same size as your straws. Drill 2 holes into the other lid. Whilst I'm using recycled bottles, I am using quite sturdy ones so they don't crush when I drill. Then pick up a straw and we're going to poke it through the double-decker lid. And you might need to squeeze the tips of the straws to fit them through. Okay. Attach a 2nd straw to this one. I'm just making a slit with the scissors to insert a straw and then we'll seal it with some hot glue. Just be careful of those fingers with the hot glue. Thread another straw through the lid and you want it to slide through a couple of centimetres. Screw the lid onto the bottle without anything attached and this is going to become our air supply chamber. And now we're going to place the bottle with the cap on top of these ones, making sure to feed the long straw through. Insert the final straw through the hole to create the fountain. With the final drink bottle, we're going to cut off the top quarter. And be really careful when cutting this bottle. And screw it onto the top. And finally, fill up 1 bottle's worth of water. And this is just coloured water, not what you think. All you need to do is tip it over to get the water into the water chamber. To start the fountain, pour a little bit more water in and hopefully it should flow. I'm going to call the Trevi Fountain people in Rome and let them in on my secret. Could save them a lot of euros. Mamma mia, prego, prego.
We interrupt our regular program for a breaking news report. Our intrepid weather reporter Josh Richards has travelled all the way to Saturn. Josh, how's the weather out there? This is Josh Richards reporting from spectacular Saturn. Now, I'm here to ask all the important questions, and I think the thing that we're all wondering is, what is it with these rings? I mean, Saturn, what is this all about? They're beautiful, But what are they? Is it a fashion statement? Is it some sort of highway? Is it a rubbish tip? What is this? Saturn is not the only planet to have rings, but its 7 rings are the most beautiful and most complicated of all of the solar system. The rings are expected to be made up of chunks of moon and comet that have been smashed apart. The rings are composed of all sorts of different components, some tiny little fragments, others enormous chunks, even the size of mountains. But the end result is Saturn's stunning and unique ring set. In 2 of the gaps, there's a small moon that keeps the rings apart, and the rings spin at different speeds. Saturn is unfortunately this brown, which, poor colour choice there. Now, Saturn is like an emotional group of teenagers. You never know what to expect. In the middle, there's a core of ice and rock. Quite nasty. But wrapped around the outside of that is a shimmering layer of liquid metallic hydrogen. Quite flashy and reflects light. Quite an attention seeker, actually. Then there's a layer of liquid hydrogen, which is incredibly sensitive and explosive. It's actually the thing that's used to power rocket ships. Now, there's a swirling mix of liquids and gases, and it's quite unstable, but there's under incredible pressure. Like I said, just like teenagers. To the weather, and it's going to be cool, about minus 170 degrees. So, make sure you pack a jumper. Later this afternoon, it's also probably going to be stormy and cloudy, with a little bit of a risk of a rock storm. So, keep an eye out for that. But back to you in the studio. Well, Josh, I did ask for the weather, not the news. Where will he wind up next? That's it for the news. Good day and good luck.
He's not my usual breakfast companion, but Rocky here is pretty good company. Rocky's a saltwater crocodile. He's around 40 years old, is about 4 metres long and weighs over 350 kilos. That's like 6 of me. They don't listen to their parents when they say slow down when they're eating either. Crocodiles don't even chew. They just rip it apart and swallow it whole. Our diets are a little different too. I usually prefer toast or cereal, but Rocky, he's going to eat a whole chicken. Rocky will use his powerful tail to propel out of the water and eat the chicken whole. Here it comes now. I'm here at Wildlife Sydney Zoo with Matt, who is a reptile and ectotherm keeper and also helps to look after Rocky. Matt, one of my favourite things about these guys is that they're expert hunters. They have great hearing and eyesight above and below the water. Am I right in saying that they have a few sets of eyelids?
Yeah, definitely. So you'll see when Rocky comes to the top of the surface, his actual eyes look normal, just like yours and mine. But as soon as he drops below the water surface, he'll flick this third membrane across, which stops a lot of leaves and dirt and debris from going in the eye and irritating it.
So kind of like wearing a pair of goggles under the water?
Yeah, exactly.
They have really sharp teeth and they're amazing swimmers. How many teeth do they actually have?
So on average, they have anywhere from about 66 to 68 teeth, which can fall out at any time. So as soon as one falls out, there's one right behind it, ready to fill in that position.
So similar to sharks, how they lose their teeth?
Exactly right, yeah.
And how long will Rocky live for?
Anywhere from about 80 to 100 years.
Wow.
Is the rough age for them.
Will he get any heavier?
Yeah, definitely. So at the moment, Rocky is about 4.2 metres long. He weighs roughly about 350, 360 kilos. He has the potential to get up to about 6 metres, 6.5, and weigh anywhere from about a tonne up to a tonne and a half.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
What does Rocky eat?
It varies quite a bit from day to day. Sometimes it's chicken, sometimes it's a large carcass of kangaroo or some beef ribs or something like that. But I would have to say his favourite food item would be a chicken. And they have a stomach roughly about the size of a basketball. So when you think a fully fledged chicken, which is about that big. That fits inside his tummy really nicely and that keeps him pretty full for a while.
Do you ever get scared?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I do get a little bit scared, but I've been doing this for quite a long time now. I do know some of the signs to look for.
So what are some of those signs that you look for?
If they're on the bottom of the surface, they will actually have their feet firmly planted on the ground, ready to jump up and make their move. They get a lot of their power from their tail, which allows them to jump up at pretty decent heights.
What is your favourite fact about these guys?
They've been around for about 240 to 250 million years. So what you're looking at right now is the closest thing that you're ever going to get to our last living dinosaur. Knowing that you work with such an ancient animal would be the coolest fact about them for me.
Thanks so much, Matt. Crocs can go for months without eating any food. Not me though. I'm always on the hunt for my next meal. In fact, I'm hungry. Lunch, anyone?
Now, this isn't the cuddliest or cutest of kitties, and you wouldn't really want her in your lap. But in ancient Egypt, they were considered sacred. And if you had enough money, then you would buy one from a priest to have it mummified and buried with you. And they were buried in the same way as humans. So their organs were taken out, dried out, salted, stuffed, and then buried in the tomb. The ancient Egyptians really loved cats. How much? Let me break it down for you. Meow, meow, meow.
Cats, they're everywhere. They don't have no boss, they don't even care. They're not like dogs, they don't want to get chummy.
Egyptians love them so much, they turn them into mummies.
Catching all the mice, hanging on the street.
Giving stink eyes to everyone they meet. They could do no wrong, they were really proud specs.
They were covered in soap and wrapped up in mesh.
If you love your cat, please don't try this at home. Just pat it and feed it, give it space to roll. If you love your cat,
please don't try this at home.
just pat it and feed it, give it space to roll.
Roll.
I'm here at Scenic World to go for a ride on the world's steepest railway, the Scenic Railway. Now, way back we used to call it the Mountain Devil, so let's find out why. This little devil travels at 52 degrees. Now, that's a bit tricky to get your head around, but 90 degrees is straight down, and you can see it over here on the protractor, 90 degrees, and then 52 degrees is here, and that's still really steep. Really something to get your stomach going round and round over. Okay, it's time to go for our ride. Let's buckle up. Whee! Wow, I think I can see the Three Sisters. I hope Duncan knows how to drive this thing. The ferns are beautiful. I love the rainforest. Now that I've had this ride, I want to know, how does it work? How did clever engineers work out how to get it down here without it rolling off the edge? It's amazing. To find out, I'm going to ask my friend David. David, how are you?
Good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, really good. David, what's your job here?
So I look after the railway behind us here, as well as the other amusement rides at Scenic World as the engineer.
And what can you tell me about the Scenic Railway?
It's driven by motors at the top there, so unlike a traditional train, its motors are located up in the winch room as opposed to on the wheels of the train, connected by the ropes at the rear.
So the train has big ropes tied onto the back of it?
That's right, so it's cable driven back out of the valley.
Like a giant yo-yo?
Exactly, yeah, giant winch, that's right.
Wow, how cool. So how long ago was it built?
So it was originally built in 1881 to bring coal and shale out of the valley. So the coal was used for powering oil lamps at the time, steam trains, steaming houses for heating as well.
Wow, so it was before electricity was invented?
That's right, over 130 years ago.
How did they build this 130 years ago?
So they originally used a natural cutting in the terrain there, and about 25 miners worked away with hands and pickaxes and worked their way down through it to make the railway cutting.
Wow, so it was like a natural tunnel?
Yeah, somewhat, and they mined it out a little bit further so they could fit a railway through it.
Now, it wasn't just coal that was going up on the train, was it?
Yeah, so originally it was tired miners that were getting lift out of the valley, and a few tired bushwalkers found their way onto it as well, kneeling on potato sacks to get their way up. So in 1933, it ran as the Mountain Devil, the first passenger train here.
What about safety? I hope it's a bit safer now.
Yeah, so we take safety very seriously here, and there's a number of backup brake systems on the train. It's a dual cable operated, and each of those can carry the weight of 10 African elephants.
What a cool piece of engineering. Thanks so much, David. It's been great.
No problem.
I'm going to have one more ride on this amazing train.
See ya.
Back to the question, why don't humans have fur or tails? Well, about 1.2 million years ago, humans started to lose their fur. Through evolution, we simply didn't need fur anymore. Took us quite a while to invent clothes though. But anyway, tails are super useful, but when humans learned to walk on 2 feet, we simply didn't need tails anymore. Animals will use their tails for balance, but when humans learned to walk on 2 feet, we were balanced enough, and so we didn't need tails, and we can use our hands to grab things. I still do kind of wish we had tails though. I feel like we could come up with some pretty cool uses for them. But anyway.
Hi, I'm Lisa Alexander, and I'm the head coach of the Australian Diamonds, which is our #1 world champion netball team. I began my journey for netball coaching as a player. I studied physical education and mathematics. I also combined that with my career as an athlete at that time. And I saw the two things really work together because I have a belief that we are better students when we combine physical activity with our academic careers. When I'm coaching the Diamonds, I'm really looking for our players to really show that they love playing for their country and that they love netball. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing for sport at the very highest levels. And also they're very disciplined at their practice. So they practice a lot. And, you know, our goal shooters are an example of that. They put in an extra 4 sessions a week and they have to shoot 200 goals at each of those sessions. They also have to get certain percentages when they're doing their practice for their shooting. And we try and make sure our goal shooters are shooting at 90% and over. Students can use their mathematical understanding to see that they could be a better goal shooter because the higher release of the shot means that you are not going to have it disrupted by a defender. And having a mathematical understanding behind that really actually helps me as a coach. When the Australians are playing, I'm always nervous. Because we're world #1, everyone wants to beat us. So we have to make sure we've done everything possible to ensure we stay #1. You always have to work hard, and we try and be really consistent with that message.